A top U.S. general revealed that he is fearful the U.S. will be at war with China by 2025. In a recent memo, Air Force General Mike Minihan wrote, quote, "I hope I am wrong. My gut tells me we will fight in 2025. Pentagon officials say the comments are not consistent with American military assessments. And joining us tonight to weigh in is John Ullyot, former White House National Security Council spokesman and deputy assistant to President Donald J. Trump. John, always great to have you with us. A lot to get to tonight, but first, your reaction to this troubling memo. I mean, do you think there's any truth to it, and should we be concerned?
Well, Tracy, thanks a lot. It's great to join you as always. What there's definitely a memo from General Minihan. He's talked about it. This was revealed. But it's actually a very good thing for the general to be sounding the alarm to his troops, because his job as general of the Air Mobility Command, as commander of the Air Mobility Command, is to ensure that his forces, his top commanders, and then underneath them, all of their implementers, all of their servicemen and women are prepared for the worst, because that's their job, is that they can't be caught flat-footed if there is indeed a conflict. Now, once again, so he's doing his job, and that was exactly right. What he said in the memo that's a little bit controversial is he said that his own personal view is that we would be at war with China as early as or as soon as 2 years from now. And obviously that's not his call to make. It's actually the Chinese call with our national security establishment, whether or not they choose to invade Taiwan, et cetera. So he was not reflecting the position of the government that we are indeed going to be at war with China. But what he's doing was his job exactly, was to say, look, we may be at war as early as 2 years from now or even earlier, so we better ramp up, we better get ready. He said, look, this is a wartime footing that we have to have right now, because he wants to make sure that they're trained and ready.
Yeah, and you know, that memo, John, goes on to explain that Chinese President Xi Jinping secured his third term and set his war council in October 2022. Taiwan's presidential elections are in 2024 and will offer Xi a reason. United States presidential elections are in 2024 and will offer Xi a distracted America. Xi's team, reason, and opportunity are all aligned for 2025. John, quickly, your assessment of all that.
Well, President Xi would be very foolish if he thinks that a presidential election is going to distract our men and women of the armed services from carrying out their responsibilities. So, look, what happens on the election front is totally independent from what happens, and that's back to General Minihan's memo, is that he's doing everything that he can. He's not thinking about the political ramifications, but what he is saying in the memo is that, look, there may be some distractions not on the civilian side, but that he wants to make sure that we're not distracted and that we're ready on the military side, and that's his job.
Yeah, John, I want to pivot now to the war in Ukraine. I mean, we're coming up on the one-year anniversary, and it seems the general sentiment is this is going to be a very long war. Your thoughts on that? Do you see an off-ramp in the near future?
Well, the off-ramp is something that we should be encouraging, both the U.S. and NATO, much more so than we are right now. Right now, we've said at the U.S. side, look, we're going to stick with them, and we're going to actually fund Zelensky and his team in the Ukraine for, quote, however long it takes. Both President Biden as well as Secretary of Defense Austin have said that time and again, along with Tony Blinken, who's the Secretary of State. And that's actually a very not helpful message to be sending to the Ukraine, because that says, hey, look, we're going to be doing whatever. Right now, we're just giving tanks to them. There's talk about fighter aircraft that would be going to them. And these are all escalations, if you will, in terms of the defensive capability, and in some cases, the offensive capability. We just gave them longer range rockets as of today. So bottom line, Tracy, is that we need to have that off ramp. And what that is putting both sides together and saying, come up with a solution. This is a stalemate right now, and we can't continue to be giving hundreds of billions of dollars a year from the U.S. taxpayers, let alone trying to provoke some type of greater conflict, which could end up in a very bad conflict between the U.S. and Russia.
John, we have probably about a minute or so left, but I quickly want to ask you, about some of that breaking news that we had coming up this morning with President Biden, those classified documents that they are looking into at his home in Rehoboth. I want to get your thoughts on that, and what do you think this all signals?
Well, what this signals is there's a very big contrast, and not in Biden's favor, between the classified documents that were found next to his Corvette in his garage in Wilmington, and now having the FBI look into what's going on in his beach house in Rehoboth, which actually has a wall built around it just in the past year to the tune of several $100,000 from U.S. taxpayers. But bottom line is that with the FBI going in there, there's a big double standard, because when the FBI went into raid Mar-a-Lago, what they did was they had a long caravan, and they did it early morning with guns out, with sirens blaring, and with media in tow and media tipped off to what was happening there. Here, this is more of a negotiation, it seems, with the FBI working with Biden's lawyers, et cetera. So it's a big double standard in terms of how President Trump was treated and how Biden is treated. And Biden had documents that were unsecured for 5-6 years, and then in some cases going back to the Senate. So this is a lot worse chain of custody issues that Biden faces, and it's a double standard in terms of how the FBI is responding to President Trump versus President Biden, where they really have kid gloves.
Yeah, and possibly national security implications as well.
Absolutely, absolutely, especially with China too on the Penn Biden Center. We don't know whether China had access to those classified documents, and that's very serious.
Yeah, very concerning indeed. Well, John, thank you so much. Always great to get your insights.
Great to talk to you, Tracy. Thank you.